everyone. Today we will be discussing the global demography lessons of movement and sustainability. In the context of our report, the outlines are divided into 7 parts, which are demography, the perils of overpopulation, its economy not the babies, women and reproductive rights, the feminist perspective, population growth and security, as well as the conclusion. So, for further information about our lesson, the first topic will be discussed by GIRAK FORTUITO.
Demography, the study of human population. Demography, it is a quantitative study of statistical data of the human population. In addition, examine the size, structures, and movement of population over space and time. It uses various types of techniques from history, economics, anthropology, sociology, and other fields of study. Demography is useful for government and private businesses in analyzing and predicting population-related social and cultural and also economic trends. The term demography is derived from 2 ancient Greek words, demos, which means the people, and graphy, which means writing about or recording something. According to Wiktionary, demography's origins may typically be traced to England in the 18th century, particularly to the founders of the Royal Society. The father of demography is John Grant, and his major work published in 1662. He is a London merchant who used Bacon's approach and his own experience with merchant bookkeeping to analyze the London bills of mortality or death records which had been kept since 1532. On the other hand, according to demographic components, processes and measures collapse, birth, death, and migration are the 3 demographic components that determine population change because they affect the population situation. As a result, population growth is primarily determined by birth, death, and migration. The people who study demography are called demographers. But in order to examine a population, a demographer must collect data. This is done in part through a census. Census is an official population count or survey that typically records various details about individuals. In addition, census data can be used to determine political representation and evaluate a region's need for government services and facilities such as schools, hospital, beds, and roads. Therefore, its statistical and prediction can help in the development of adequate school system, estimating the needed funding of senior services, and developing workable healthcare system. As a result, demography is the quantitative and statistical investigation of the components of population dynamics, such as birth, death, marriages, and migration. Demographers also study trends in fertility rates and population growth to the forecast future of population. At the same time, it deals with quantitative aspects such as measurement and analysis of population change components, as highly developed mathematical methods for forecasting population growth and changes in population composition for these purposes.
The perils of overpopulation. Overpopulation is one of the most pressing issues in the world. It occurs when the human population exceeds the carrying capacity of the ecological environment. Today, there are more than 7.8 billion people living on Earth. According to the United Nations, the world's population is on course to reach about 10.8 billion by the year 2100s, assuming that fertility rates in many nations continue to fall. In addition, the world's population continues to grow at a rapid pace, about 80 million per year. As a result, stated that this issue will cause a stand to reason that a rise in the global population will place further demands on planet's resources. In particular, it means the more the people, a greater need for foods and other natural resources. In simple terms, all of these consumptions that adds to ecological degradation, greater conflict, and increased danger in pandemic and other large-scale calamities. Furthermore, the effects of economic crisis are no longer visible only in developed countries. There are more becoming even in apparent developing countries. According to Florida ATL 2015 in World Bank blogs, people in poverty based on $1.25 per day poverty line while 53 million more people will be pushed into $2 per day poverty. Cause: the falling mortality rate. An imbalance between births and deaths is primary and perhaps most obvious cause of population growth. All of these lifespans increasing around the world as a result of modern and advanced medical technology, unutilized contraception, and different religious belief. Along with that encouraging trend, contraceptive has use increased slowly but steadily because the World Health Organization evaluates that an estimated 214 million women in developing countries who want to avoid pregnancy do not use modern contraceptive. These women are not using contraceptions for a variety of reasons, including social norms or religious beliefs that discourage birth control, misconceptions about negative side effects, and a lack of men and women in sexual education and family planning. On the other hand, the effects of this issue will cause additional stress in the world, so the different results or outcomes that the world may be facing the next decade will be: effects. Ecological degradation. Population growth will create pressures that will result in more deforestation, decreased biodiversity, and spikes in population and emissions, of all which will worsen climate change. Increased conflicts. Limited availability due to environmental instability and overpopulation has the potential to increase violence and political issues such as wars over the natural resources. Higher risk of disasters and pandemics. Many of the recent new viruses that have affected human populations throughout the world, such as COVID-19, Zika virus, and Ebola, originated in animals or insects before they were transmitted to humans. The reasons for this is that humans are destroying wildlife habitats and coming into more frequent contact with wild creatures. Solutions. Therefore, in order to effectively handle this issue of overpopulation, it is essential to adopt a strategy of empowering individuals while encouraging against anyone advocating the use of coercion to solve the problems, which apply that combined efforts of spreading information about family planning, empowering women, sex education, and dispelling commonly held misunderstandings and myths about contraception will significantly change the demographic destiny of our world.
It's the economy, not the babies. Frequent rapid population expansion worsens the difficulty of attaining social and economic development. In other words, overpopulation will worsen the situation that will make it more difficult to sustain the economic development for low-income and lower middle-income countries to afford the increase of economic growth in public expenditures required to be able to solve poverty and hunger, malnutrition, and other economic issues. The slow progress of population growth is the lack of women in autonomy and opportunities can contribute to high fertility and rapid population expansion. So according to Why Population Growth Matters for Sustainable Development 2022, in order to control rapid population growth and should have increased access to high quality reproductive health care services including methods of family planning that are safe and effective. could lower fertility and promote economic and social growth. Therefore, investment in education, health, and the promotion of full and productive employment for all, women empowerment can greatly expand the positive economic impact of a favorable age structure created by a sustained decline in fertility. Baby boomer, on the other hand, refers to the member of the demographically large generation born between the end of World War II and mid of 1960s. Definition: years, date, range, retirement of population. In addition, they are often the parents of Generation X and the millennials. Furthermore, the term baby boomers refers to the rise in births that occurred following the returns of soldiers from World War II. In fact, as baby boomers reach retirement age, they face significant challenges, including funding their retirements. Therefore, their reproductive capacity is especially high because they were the ones responsible for the economic growth period of demographic shift after the World War. In conclusion, achieving sustainability will crucially depend on humanity's capacities and willingness to increase resource efficiency in consumption and production and detach economic growth from environmental degradation. It will indeed be an increase in economic growth and the natural resources in advances in agricultural production.
Women and reproductive rights. Women and reproductive rights are the movement of legal right to contraception, abortion, fertility treatment, reproductive rights, and access to knowledge about one's reproductive body constitutes reproductive rights. Moreover, some countries such as Ghana and Bolivian government put into effect a planning program that includes the legalization of abortion. In other words, reproductive rights are the key to be able to protect people's freedom, particularly women to choose whether or not to reproduce. Advocacy groups, mostly in developing countries, expanded the scope of the reproductive rights framework. In fact, the World Health Organization created the term sexual health and instituted preventive measures that demanded a deeper comprehension of sexual behavior. In the same way, 12 human rights key to reproductive rights stated the 12 human rights key to reproductive rights, which includes the different following. Number 1, the right to life. Number 2, the right to liberty and security of person. Number 3, the right to health, including sexual and reproductive health. Number 4, the right to decide the number and spacing of children. Number 5, the right to consent to marriage and to equality in marriage. Number 6, the right to privacy. Number 7, the right to equality and non-discrimination. Number 8, the right to be free from practices that harm women and girls. Number 9, the right to not be subjected to torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. Number 10, the right to be free from sexual and gender-based violence. Number 11, the right to access sexual and reproductive health education and family planning information. And the number 12, the right to enjoy scientific progress. So, reproductive rights are essential to obtaining demographic, health, and development goals, but they are also significant as human rights designed to defend the fundamental dignity of the individual. Therefore, other than WHO, Edmark and Cook 2008 created 3 categories about reproductive rights, which includes number 1, reproductive self-determination rights. Number 2, sexual and reproductive health services, information and education rights. And number 3, equality and non-discrimination rights. Simpler
term, these movements are correlated with large-scale social trends, such as the desire to lessen population growth in industrialized nations and the issue of women discriminations.
And now we will tackle about the feminist perspective. The feminist perspective highlights social issues that are frequently overlooked or misidentified by existing social theories. In addition, this approach examines the reinforcing of gender norms and inequalities and reproductive rights. In short, these are against any population control because they are compulsory by the nature. Lastly, feminism is also a response to the lives and experience of women, that variety that reflects the dynamic and diverse character of women experiences. This movement also believes that government assumptions that poverty, environmental degradations are caused by overpopulations. Therefore, the factors ignored that over-equality important causes like unequal distributions of wealth, lack of public safety, lack of education, and gender equality. They also affirm that there is small evidence that point out the issue of overpopulations as cause of poverty and ecological diversional and environment degradations. Therefore, feminism perspective is a response to lives of experiences of women and variety of feminism, the dynamic and diverse characters of women's experiences.
Population growth and security. Today's population has reached 7.8 billion, and it is estimated to increase to 9.5 billion in 2050, then 11.2 billion by 2100. World population projected to reach 9.8 billion in 2050 and 11.2 billion in 2100. United Nations. In addition, 90% of this population growth will happen in the developing countries and anticipated to continue, with projections of 8.6 billion by May 2030, 9.2 billion by May 2050, and 11.2 billion by 2100 per the United Nations. In fact, the resources used in human development, population growth, and increased consumption are driving environmental concerns such as biodiversity loss and climate change. International policy aimed at mitigating the effects of human population growth is concentrated in the Sustainable Development Goals, which aim to raise global living standards while reducing society's impact on the environment. Population expansion and rising consumption contribute to environmental issues such as biodiversity loss and climate change. As a result of the exploitation of natural resources for human development, international policy aimed at minimizing the effects of population expansion is centered on sustainable development goals, which aim to raise the global quality of living and reducing society's environmental impact. Furthermore, feeding this immense growth of population will be a challenge to future generation. Is it because the fertility and existence of a young, productive population is not enough to offset the concern of food security? That is why the Food and Agriculture Organization, or FAO, in the news article 2050, uttered more mouths to feed 2009, stated that in order the country to mitigate the impacts of overpopulation or population growth is that food production must increase by 70% and annual production must rise to 3 billion.
Therefore, this organization recommends that the country must apply the following: invest in agriculture, invest in research development, comprehensive social service program that includes food assistance, consistent delivery of health service and education.
In conclusion, these different factors that involve social growth and production movement tackles the current issue that are needed to focus in order to build long-term environmental sustainability as a major source of commercial and social innovation, to be able to bring massive economic and social advantages. Moreover, to be able to support the ecosystem to produce more food. Therefore, it involves increasing opportunities for all people today and in the future for poverty reduction along with successful economic and environmental sustainability.